Hey, good morning everyone. It's Mike with House Flipping School here again, doing a series of videos here and basically house flipping. And one of the things we talked about in our other videos, or our series of videos, is determining the ARV. And you can watch some of those previous videos to determine that. But after we determine that and we try to get to what we're going to allow for our property, well, you probably have heard this, the 70% rule, because a lot of other real estate investors use this. But what does that really mean? What goes behind that? Is it a number somebody just picked? And it's not. There's some math that's involved with that. It's what I was taught early on. Excuse me. But it's important. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be 70%. It could be 60%, which would be even better. And in some cases, it could go to 80%, depending on the market you're in, how quickly that property is going to sell. Sometimes you have to take a little less profit to get the property, if there's a lot of investors out there bidding on the same property. So 70% is a good rule of thumb to use. And really, what is behind that? What does that mean? Well, the idea is once you've determined, I've told you how important it is that after repair value, which is nothing more than what that house is going to potentially sell for after you repair it, is taking 70% of that. And 70% of that, which I showed you earlier on our little calculator, how to get that number, is $140,000. So basically that spread, before we really get into the minus and the repairs, because those repairs may be $40,000, but they're going to come back into being a cost towards the property. So in the end, if you end up getting it at the $100,000, add your repairs back in, that's what you'd be paying for that property, $140,000, which is 70%. And that gives us $60,000 in between. And that $60,000 in between basically is our profit margin with also our expenses, which a lot of individuals or potential real estate investors don't think of, which is the hard money or the private money interest note or the bank interest note that you're borrowing. It's the carrying cost. It's the carrying cost could be things like real estate taxes, insurance, liability, homeowners insurance, all those things that go into a monthly expense for as long as you own that property until you sell it. So if you broke that down, I guess a good average you could consider would be right about 10% for your carrying cost, which would be maybe $20,000. And then the other 20% is really what you're potentially going to project for a profit. Anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 would be an extremely good profit on a $200,000 flip. But more importantly, that gives you the spread, what I refer to a lot of downside potential. So if, for instance, you bought this property, minus your carrying costs, you're projecting, say, a $40,000 nice return, and a couple things go wrong here, like meaning that $40,000 in repairs ended up costing you $50,000, or that $200,000 ARV, the market shifted, and now you only sold it for $190,000, then you get some room there. So now your potential $40,000 profit may fall under $20,000. Or maybe you held it for 6 months longer, which further deteriorated the profit. And I know, because I've been house flipping now for about 3 years, and doesn't always go as planned. So the idea to do that, and the reason why you need to have that spread, is you want to protect yourself from the downside. And we've had some properties that we've had for 12 months, which is way too long, but at the end of the day, we still walked out making a profit. And had we sort of not stuck to our rules here, and maybe we cheated a little bit on the ARV and said, oh, we're going to sell it for $210,000, or maybe we're only going to cost us $30,000, we would have ended up losing money on the deal. And one of the other bigger expenses that I didn't talk about when I was giving you sort of the breakdown is the real estate commission. And that's a big one. That's typically around 5 to 6%. So that's the other reason why 70% and not really want to go much higher than that. So I hope this helps you to understand a little bit why we use that 70% formula. And there's a lot more detail, a lot more questions I'm sure you might have. So feel free to leave any comments below. I'd love to answer your questions, really try to help you determine the best way to make an offer on a property. So thanks again, it's Mike with House Flipping School.